Many of my patients ask why they can tell if someone's had a hair transplant or not. And there's a big difference between a good transplant and a bad transplant. A good transplant is one that should be unnoticeable, oftentimes even to your hairdresser. A bad transplant is the one you see from across the room that looks like doll's hairs. And the reason why there's a bad transplant is hair grows in certain directions on our scalp. On the front it tends to grow forward, on the sides it tends to grow down. And what happens with bad hair transplants, sometimes the physician puts the graft recipient sites, the little holes that the grafts go into, straight into the scalp. And when it's placed like that, the hairs grow straight out of the scalp. And you think of a picket fence, you can see every little line of that fence. And that's what happens with a bad hair transplant. Hair is supposed to be growing forward and tiling on top of each other. So a good transplant actually follows your actual hair direction. And the way hair grows forward, our transplants grow forward. So the recipient sites are actually placed at an angle into the scalp depending on the way we want the hair to grow. So a good transplant is a doctor who goes and artistically looks at every little hair direction that you have naturally, or at least has a mind's eye for the way the hair should be growing in the areas of loss, and is able to replicate that hair direction. And that way you end up with a hair transplant that's unnoticeable. I have so many patients come in and tell me, my hairdresser, my guy who cuts my hair, the girlfriend that I just got has no idea I have a hair transplant. And that's the way it should be.